Hey y'all, welcome back to the Burrow. I'm Hillary, your resident fragrance loving muggle. And that's Chris.
Hey,
So today I am coming at you with another day in the life, and today we are going to be wearing Gallagher's Pearfecto. So if you want to hear how that goes, stick around. Okay, so I just sprayed this all over. And when I say all over, I mean like it was in my mouth, it's in the air. We might be choking, it's hard to say. Maybe I should have done this outside. Anyways, so the cool thing about Gallagher fragrances is that they put the notes on the outside. Now there are more notes too besides just what's on here, and I'll put them on the screen somewhere. But what's listed here are pear, melon, grapefruit, champaca, patchouli, and driftwood. Now, the main things that I'm smelling right now, although it's called Pearfecto, I mean, there's a little bit of pear just in the opening, but I'm mostly getting melon, like kind of like a combination of cantaloupe and honeydew kind of thing. Because to me, cantaloupe has like an overripe smell to it naturally. And it just kind of is like a little bit oversweet, but then it's more of the texture of the honeydew. I know that's kind of confusing, but definitely much more melony. What do you think, Chris?
I think if anyone is familiar with the comedian Gallagher from when I was a kid, where he would take a big hammer and smash things, it smells like somebody smashed like 7 honeydew melons in here. That's what it smells like.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that. I'm not that old. Okay. I do smell a floral aspect in here. I'm assuming that that is the champaca. I believe it specifically said that this was red champaca flowers, and I'm not super familiar with the smell of champaca, besides that it's just a heady floral. And I think that must be what that floral aspect is, of course, that I'm smelling. I also smell a slight tinge of banana, and I think that might be my favorite part of the scent in the opening. I love banana in fragrances. I actually don't eat bananas unless they're super green. I don't know why. But yeah, I'm really enjoying that aspect mixed with the melon. So yeah, this was, what, 10 seconds after spraying, so we'll be back in a little bit once the scent starts to change. Hey guys, so we are about 10 minutes in, and if you can't tell yet, I'm a dog groomer, for those of you who are new to my channel. So the overripe smashed melon smell has dissipated quite a bit, and instead it is a really bright, fresh pear. There's actually some greenness too, and I'm not sure what's lending the greenness. I'll have to look at the other notes that aren't mentioned on the outside of the bottle, but I'm really enjoying this fresh pear and some sort of green note right now. So it is really, really pleasant, really nice. And can you smell it from there? What's the projection like?
No,
Can't smell
I
it from
can
there?
smell it from here.
It's a little closer to the skin. There is definitely sillage because every time I move around, I can smell myself. But I guess the projection, I don't know, how far away do you think?
I can smell it from here.
Okay, so what, 2 feet?
Yeah.
So right now we're projecting about 2 feet. So we'll see how it goes. Bye. Hey, so we are about an hour in, and the green note, which I looked it up online, it is violet leaf like I was suspecting, but it is kind of, I think, the main player here right now, which is kind of interesting since it's not one of the notes mentioned on the bottle, but it is almost wet. Just like a wet green note, and then this fruity backbone, and the fruitiness honestly is kind of like in like school when you used to have fruit salad at lunch. You know how it was kind of like that mashup of random fruits that you really like couldn't identify, because they had all kind of like disintegrated into one little juicy pile. It's kind of like that, that fruitiness in the backbone. I know that there's supposed to be these woody notes and things, but I'm really not smelling any of those woodier notes like the driftwood or patchouli or any of those other darker elements. But yeah, right now it's basically fruit salad and some wet greenness. So I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely fresh. Projection is very soft. But every time the wind whips around me, there is a good amount of sillage. So honestly, that's kind of my preference as far as fragrances go. That way I'm not blasting anybody out, but if the wind's around me, I can still enjoy it. So yeah, so far so good. Okay, so we are about 3 hours in now, and projection still fairly soft. It's kind of about 6 inches, I think, away from the skin, but that's perfect, especially if you work in an office environment. Um, the again, sillage still great. The scent itself now, the the fruitiness that I'm smelling, it actually is leaning more towards being specifically pear now, which is really nice. The banana that I've been enjoying is all gone. So this is kind of more like a grainy fruit. So, just like a pear is. There also is some of that overripe kind of cantaloupe honeydew melon kind of scent going on along with it. That's kind of just blending with the pear. I am starting to get a little bit of those woody elements. I'm interested to see how strong they are once it starts to dry down more. So I'll check back in a bit. Bye. Hey guys, so we're about 4.5 to 5 hours in, and at this point the projection is so minimum. It is basically, just a straight skin scent. You can't smell it unless you're right on top of the skin. I had Chris smell it a second ago, and he says that it kind of reminds him now at this stage of a toned down version of Zoologist Panda. But it is still a beautiful fragrance. I feel like for a fresh fragrance, it had a decent amount of longevity. I just personally would want to respray at this point in my day, just to get me through the rest of the dogs that I have scheduled, because I still got, 4 on the books. So, yeah. It's been doing really good, but I think at this point there's just not much left. I am still getting a little bit of sillage that is strictly like honeydew melon whenever the wind whips around me, but it's just so little. So, hey guys, so we're about 9 hours in now. This fragrance is all but gone. When I got off work, I did come back and mow my yard, and there were a couple times where I could kind of smell kind of like peekaboos of this fragrance, but it was just so faint that I can't really say that it was really projecting, if that makes sense at all. If I smell my shirt, I can still smell a little bit. It kind of just smells like fruit salad and sweat at this point. So I would say that basically the longevity of this fragrance is probably about 5 hours. I probably could have oversprayed this morning and it would have been just fine. And maybe it would have given it a bit longer of a lifespan. But honestly, I really enjoyed this fragrance. I would say that the best seasons for this fragrance are probably spring and summer. You may have to respray throughout the day, but no big deal. Put some in a travel atomizer to spruce yourself back up. Although this fragrance was called Pearfecto, I feel like the melon in here was probably what played the biggest role for a majority of the fragrance, and the violet leaf. The violet definitely was coming out. The greenness was showing all the way through the fragrance, and it was really adding like a nice wet touch to it. And, the melon was kind of turning it into fruit salad. I was really, really enjoying how unique this was. I've never smelled another fragrance that smelled quite like this, honestly. So, as far as uniqueness goes, 10 out of 10. I love smelling something that smells completely different from anything else. The price for this, oh wow, I almost said a bad word. The price for this sucker is, I believe it was, a 30 ml is $95 and 100 ml is $155. For me, since I primarily wear Indian niche fragrances, I usually say that anything under $200 is reasonable. And the fact that they sell a 30 ml that's under the $100 price range, I think that's awesome. And I really, really enjoyed it. I love smelling different from other people, and this one definitely hit that nail right on the head. As far as presentation goes, although this is fairly simple, I do think that it looks nice and crisp and clean, especially in a collection. And I love the added touch of putting the notes on the front. And although this cap is plastic, it does fit really snugly, so you can pick this bottle up by the cap. Now, who would wear this fragrance? I think this is totally unisex. Boys, girls, it does not matter. I think as long as you're okay with smelling like fruit salad, wear what you want. As far as the scent of this fragrance for me, I think my least favorite part of this fragrance was the opening, because that overly ripe melon was a little bit off-putting, and it kind of took a little while to get used to it. By the time I got used to it, the scent changed. So it was really cool that this scent did progress quite a bit, even though it only had a very short lifespan. I unfortunately was never able to experience the dry down of this fragrance with, the patchouli and the driftwood, just because it kind of disappeared from my skin before those really came out to play very much, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, in the summer here, it gets very, very hot, so it might be best not to smell super woody or earthy or whatnot. It might be nice just to stay fruity until it's gone. But I thought this fragrance was very enjoyable, very unique, and I'm really, really happy I have it. Now, as far as comparing it to other Gallagher fragrances, especially for the season of like spring and summer, the other fragrance I have personally is Pineapple. Pineapple is one of my favorite summer fragrances of all time. So it still is probably my favorite from this house. My second favorite from this house is no longer sold. That is Carpe Cafe. So beautiful. One of the best coffee fragrances I've ever smelled. But this is definitely ranking up there. Rose All Day is great. Amongst Waves is great. He uses melon quite a bit because I'm pretty sure Amongst Waves was melon based also. But I really enjoy this kind of more mellow, kind of tropical to me. I think on his description on the website, he actually described this as being like a drink that you would have by the beach. I could see that. Honestly, it's kind of more like a fruit flavored tea or something like that almost. I wouldn't say it would be like an alcoholic drink by the beach. There's nothing boozy at all about this fragrance. It's just nice and wet and fruity and kind of, I don't want to say it's happy. Like Pineapple, super, super happy. This fragrance is more kind of mellow and chill, and I think that is one of the coolest things about it. So yeah, that was Pearfecto by Gallagher Fragrances, and yeah, I'm so glad I have this fragrance to add to my Gallagher collection, and I'll be coming at you guys soon with some more videos. Thanks for stopping by the Burrow. Bye.